Hello guys, this is Harish Nagar and today I am going to talk about U.R-Anandmurthy. Guys, U.R-Anandmurthy was born in 1932 and he died in 2014. Guys, he is a major writer in Kannada language and he is also a pioneer of Navya movement. Now guys, what is Navya movement? Guys, if you translate the word Navya in English, you will find that Navya means modern. So basically it is modern Indian literature in which we find that the writers don't see life as pursuit of already existing values, but then the writer look at life in a way that they are introspective, searching for new values and new rules and new regulation. And all the works written in Navya movement are narrated in stream of consciousness technique. So the Navya movement is very similar to modern movement, modern age literature that was produced in Britain. For example, we have James Joyce Ulysses and Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse. So the same kind of thing can be seen here in the writers who are writing as part of the Navya movement. And all these writers, they were expressing modern sensibilities. They were also questioning the time-honored standards of plot. So rather than going by how a traditional story needs to be written, they experimented with the plot. Plus, U.R-Anandmurthy is specifically known for the beautiful psychological analysis that he does in the works. And he presents the psyche of the main character and he talks about the dilemmas going inside their brain. We also find that he depicts the Kannada Brahmin bureaucrats and he criticizes the traditional values. Guys, the most important work of U.R-Anandmurthy is Samskara. The word Samskara means ritual in Kannada language. So just like we have Antim Sanskar, that Samskara is the title. And according to A.K. Ramanujan, who translated the novel into English, the title refers to the main ritual of Indians that is performed when a person dies. So the compulsory rituals that is given to Brahmins as the time they pass is the title, and it is also the central controversy of the novel. So remember guys, this work Samskara is actually written in Kannada language and it was translated into English by A.K. Ramanujan. The title Samskara referred to the compulsory burial ceremony that is given to Brahmins. Now, the story is set in a small village called Durvasa Pura. Durvasa Pura is a village which is situated on the western Ghatt of Karnataka, and we find that in the Durvasa Pura there was a closed Brahmin community that lives according to the rules and norms, and they all are extremely orthodox in the tradition. Now, what happened next is that the central theme of the novel is death of Naraanppa. After the Naraanppa died, there is a big question mark regarding the issue of his burial. Why? Because Naraanppa was an anti-Brahmical. The question comes in your mind that what is anti-Brahmical? If you don't know about anti-Brahminical, I will tell you. A anti-Brahminical Brahman means a person who is Brahman by birth, but then he rejects all the Brahman beliefs and lifestyles. So he slept with lower caste prostitutes and then he ate non-vegetarian food, he consumed alcohol and he insulted other Brahmins. So he was that kind of Brahman, and all the Brahmin who are there in this town, Durvasa Pura, they hated Naraanppa. The problem came when Naraanppa died. Now all the Brahmins, they were faced with the complication that what should they do to this body of Naraanppa, whether they should bury him, like they should perform the ritual for him, or they should leave him. Plus, we find out that the most problematic thing Naraanppa did, that he chose to live with a lower caste woman whose name is Chandri. So he was living with Chandri. Now Chandri confronted all these Brahmins when Naraanppa died that you need to give him a proper burial. Now Brahmins did not want to do the last ritual of Naraanppa because they were afraid of their guru. So Brahman had a guru at Srinagiri. That guru might excommunicate them for burying a heretic. Now guys, heretic means a person who does not abide by the religious values and Naraanppa was a heretic. So all the Brahmins thought that maybe if they buried Naraanppa, then the Guru might excommunicate them, and at the same time they wanted to bury him as soon as possible because they were not even permitted to eat or drink anything while a Brahman body awaited the cremation's grounds. So without burying a Brahmin, they cannot eat and drink. Plus, they are worried that if they, give him a proper burial, then the Guru might get angry at them. So finally, they left the issue to Pranesh Acharya. Now, Pranesh Acharya was the head of the village, and he is the most important Brahmin among all the Brahmins of the village, and therefore all the Brahmins said that we are going to leave the issue in the hands of Pranesh Acharya and let him decide what we need to do with the body of Naraanppa. Now, finally, Pranesh Acharya is a devotee Brahmin who had completed his Vedic education at Varanasi, and then he returned to Durvasa Pura, and he is considered as the leader of the Brahmin community of his village. He is in his late 30s, we get to know, and he is a great Sanskrit scholar. He has won a lot of shows and silver plates by winning arguments on religious topic with other pandits. So basically there are religious leaders who talk about Vedic topics and they have a debate or discussion. So Pranesh Acharya was one such Brahmin who has won a lot of religious arguments. He has learned Sanskrit from Kashi and he knows the Vedas and scriptures thoroughly, and his main goal is to attain moksha. Moksha means liberation, and for this, to do an act of self-sacrifice, he has married an invalid woman. Invalid woman, that means a woman who cannot indulge in sexual activity. So he has married an invalid woman so that he can perform this great act of self-sacrifice. And every day in the morning he performs all the duties. And then he also gives donation and he also indulge in the cleaning ritual of his wife. So if you look at the life of Pranesh Acharya, you will find that he is living a life of spiritual cleanliness and purity. And in spite of 20 years of married life, he never enjoyed the pleasure of sex and nor he did anything bad. And that is the reason why he thinks that he is one of the most perfect candidate for attaining moksha. So this was the life of Pranesh Acharya, which is complete contrast with Naraanppa. Now what happened is that after looking at the life of this man Pranesh Acharya, we find out that Pranesh Acharya is presented with this conflict that what we should do with the body of Naraanppa, and Pranesh Acharya says that fine, okay, let me think about it. So he decided to go through the holy books to find the solution of that problem, and he is not able to find any solution. While he is searching for the solution, Chandrithe, the concubine of Naraanppa, she has submitted all the jewellery at the feet of Pranesh Acharya, and she has told Pranesh Acharya that please you take all the jewellery and bury the body of Naraanppa because I love him and I don't want his body to remain like that. Now when she offered all the gold, this became a further complicated issue because all the Brahmin suddenly turned greedy on seeing such large quantity of gold. Now all they want to do is to do the ritual so that they can get the gold. Now Pranesh Acharya became afraid because he thinks that love of gold might corrupt the whole Brahmin community of this particular village. Now Pranesh Acharya couldn't find the solution to the dilemma of the burial issue even after consulting Manu and other holy texts. Manu means Upanishad. So even after consulting Manu Upanishad or other holy texts, he could not find solution. So he went to Hanuman temple and prayed to Hanuman God to find some divine direction. But even after praying, he will not be able to understand. So while he is returning from the Hanuman temple, suddenly he finds Chandrithe, and he is tempted by Chandrithe in the darkness. He fell to the temptation and made love with Chandrithe there. The sexual relationship with Chandrithe totally transformed Pranesh Acharya. He felt that he no longer has any moral right to continue as a spiritual leader of the town, that is the Durvasa Pura, and he refused to direct the Brahmin on issue of the burial. Now Chandrithe becomes desperate and she approaches the lower caste people to do the burial, but they refuses. Why? Because they says that we are not going to meddle with the Brahmin course, even if she gave them all 8 kinds of riches. Finally, she went to a Muslim section and pleaded to Ahmed Barik, who is a fish merchant. And Ahmed Barik accepted the challenge and secretly cremated the dead body of Naraanppa at midnight. So the problem of Naraanppa burial has solved. But in the final part of the book, we find Pranesh Acharya started journey on foot through forest and city in search of an answer for himself, because for the first time he had a sexual relationship with a woman and now he finds himself extremely guilty and he is unable to understand what he should do with his life. Should he go back to Durvasa Pura and confess everything to his fellow Brahmins, or should he seek out Chandrithe and fully embraces this newly discovered world of flesh? Now, during this journey, he meets a young man whose name is Puta, and Puta becomes Pranesh Acharya's guru about the ways of the world outside the conservative town of the Durvasa Pura. So Puta takes him to a carnival where there are games and there are gruesome cockfight, and also they visit local prostitute, and Puta embodies all the worldly experience that Pranesh Acharya has worked so hard in his life to avoid. Now, compared to Pranesh Acharya, Puta has a stronger and more pragmatic kind of personality. He belongs to lower caste community and his knowledge was limited. But then his intelligence was not so limited. He is extremely pragmatic and he says that we all have capacity to perform like a perfect human being. So he tells all these things to Pranesh Acharya and he used an example of a Bombay box to illustrate the personality of Puta. So U.R-Anandmurthy using the illustration of a Bombay box in order to talk about the personality of Puta. And he says that Puta is a man who would go everywhere in order to enjoy the little pleasure of life. And he would never pretend to be spiritual or high-headed, unlike Pranesh Acharya. So Puta tells Pranesh Acharya that you should not deny pleasure and passion and you should indulge in all these things, and that is what will lead you to salvation. Because if you try to deny all these things, then somewhere you will be making a fool out of yourself. So Pranesh Acharya has denied himself pleasure and passion for such a long time that when he faced female flesh, carnival, cockfight for the first time, he was overwhelmed to the point of inertia. And in the end of the novel, still does not bring us the resolution to Pranesh Acharya. His journey, his extreme aestheticism has blinded him to the physical enjoyment of the world outside rigid rituals and cleaning baths, and what began as a sanskara for dead men becomes samskara of Pranesh Acharya. So basically guys, samskara towards the end means rite to passage. That means when you try to discover your own cycle of life, that is samskara. So what began as a samskara for a dead man, that is Naraanppa, became a wholly different cycle of life for Pranesh Acharya. So that was samskara written by U.R-Anandmurthy. Now guys, we are moving forward to the questions which were asked in UGC NET exam. In June 2009, there was a question. U.R-Anandmurthy samskara was translated by. So it was translated by A.K. Ramanujan. Now the next question which was asked in June 2014 NET exam, and the question was, pick the most relevant and correct description of U.R-Anandmurthy's work Samskara. So the first correct description is, the novel is a satire on the representative of Brahmin society. So this is correct. And number two, it is regional novel because it talks about the Durvasa Pura, which is a city near the western Ghatt of Karnataka. So remember this thing guys, it is a religious regional novel and also it is a satire on Brahmin society. Now the incorrect ones are, the novel is written in English. No, it was written in Kannada language. The next option is, the novel is concerned with the progressive idea of the time. No, it doesn't talk about the progressive idea, whereas it actually talks about the traditional and orthodox views. And the last option is, the novel is set in Malgudi. This is also incorrect because the novel is set in Durvasa Pura. So this is the most important work written by U.R-Anandmurthy. So that's it for today's lecture. If you like my video, kindly share with your friends. Thank you guys.